This is Suit Up Sports.
Suit Up Sports.
Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia. Frank, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Had a great time last night, and kind of coming off of a 2-week hiatus. Last week, my family was in town for like 5 days. And this week, Jessica's family is in town for like 5 days. So 10 days of family.
It's a lot, man.
Is a lot. So I am needing a day with the boys, a night with the guys, weekend getaway, something, because it is just what they say is true. Family is like fish. After 3 days, they start to smell. Imagine what they smell like after 10.
Well, it's funny. I'm
kidding, family. I'm kidding. I love you guys.
Last night, Frank and I were at a grand opening for a great new restaurant in town, Mother's. We broadcasted live there a couple weeks ago, and we had a bunch of friends there. And it's a great place. And Frank comes walking in with his girlfriend, Jess, and her mom and dad and kids, all the kids. And I'm sitting there at the table with a bunch of friends, and we see Frank and Jess and the family walk in. Jess introduces me to her parents and all that. And y'all sit down, and I forget who it was sitting with me, but they're like, dude, Frank and Jess look like really stressed. And I go, yes. I go, yeah. I said, Frank's family was here, and now Jess's family is here. That will wear on a man.
And what was the first thing I did? I went and got a big old fashioned.
He went right over to the bar, old fashioned, glass of wine. A
big old glass of wine and a big old fashioned. And I'm glad this mic probably, I don't know if people heard me or not when I first started.
It might have just saved you
it might have saved me some grief when I get home after they listen to this.
We got Big D over here producing the show for us. Big D always does a good job, and I forget to mention him half the time, so I want to make sure I do it while I'm remembering to mention everything Big D does. Good weekend of football coming up. The college card not as big as it's been the last couple weeks, but we still have some really good games. And then we've got our Panthers and a
great game last night as well.
Great game last night. You and I were talking before the show about how I really don't want to hear about weapons and all these things and the excuses when we see Shanahan with San Fran with lining up receivers that are other people's throwaways.
Another Alabama quarterback. It wasn't the number one pick overall.
Mac Jones, who has struggled so far in his career, and you put the guy in the right spot, you put the people in the right position, you come up with a game plan, which last night was to throw a lot of short passes to get the ball out of your hands quickly. I think Mac Jones last night threw more passes under 10 yards than any quarterback has so far this season. And so when you do see a game plan
against a really good defense, against a really
good defense. So when you see a team like that are banged up with receivers that are no better than what we have. I mean, McMillan.
We have better receivers than they do.
I would agree with you. So I don't want to hear any more
athletically,
of this
things like that. Not necessarily route running and those type of things, but when you look at the talent on the two teams, the one difference maker obviously was Christian McCaffrey, and guess where he was at. So we all know that story. And it's a challenge. To have a piece like that for Shanahan, obviously, opens things up for everybody else, right? When you have a Christian McCaffrey, and it was one of the biggest reasons why I felt like, even though he was injured and even though that, he probably wasn't finishing the seasons maybe when he could have, he was looking more out, I felt like, for himself than he was the team. Understandable, now when you start looking at the reasons why. But when you let a guy like that go, you can't replace a Hall of Famer. I've said this since day one. You can't replace Hall of Famers. It's hard to replace Pro Bowl players. And, some guys are just interchangeable pieces, right? And then putting them into a system is going to fit their skill set better than maybe others. Shanahan has a great feel for how to utilize his weapons, number one.
Yep.
How to not, put guys in positions to fail, how to let Matt Jones do what he does. He's a very accurate passer. He's doesn't have a great arm. He was injured last night.
Yeah.
But running the football, stopping the run, playing good defense on the road, and making short, quick, easy passes. I don't think like you said, they didn't throw many passes, but they were quick.
They're quick.
They were precise. They were on target. They hit receivers running where they can turn those 7-yard passes into a broken tackle or a 15-yard gain. They could turn an out route where you out leverage a linebacker with a running back because he hits him on time in space where he can get up the field.
Yep.
And he understands, but Matt Jones understands those too. And he's done a good job because Matt Jones has been in Jacksonville. He's been New England. He's been in a lot of different places and just hadn't had the success, but he's still a good quarterback, right?
Yep.
And you see that's the reason why he's in the NFL, because of a game last night. The consistency is going to be a problem. Maybe he's not the biggest. Maybe he's not the fastest. He doesn't have the best arm, but he reminds me of a guy like Steve Berline, right? He can win you games when necessary.
Yeah.
And he's smart. He's going to get the ball out on time. He's a good leader. He's obviously a hard, a tough guy. He was getting banged up all over the place, throwing up on the sideline, coming out there.
Yeah.
He cramped up and looked like he was really sick. And nobody's saying those things, but that's the reality of it. And Shanahan put those guys in positions to go out there and play better than I think one of the probably a top 5 team in the NFL in the Rams.
Definitely top 5 defense, I would say, and then also top 5 coach. I mean, McVay can coach. So
look at the receiving core they have.
Exactly. Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I mean,
the one Kyron Williams at running back. Now, he had a huge fumble last night.
He didn't get the short yardage play that went back to him. But, they have a top 5 NFL team, in my opinion. When you look at talent standpoint and the ability that they have. But, when you look at what Shanahan did, he had a game plan going in. And it was going to be slow the pace, eat the clock, control the ball.
Yeah.
Right. Punt, play great defense if we need to. But I think they ran 30 plays in the first quarter. Right. Something like that. It was unheard of where, they had long drives that were on time. It's kind of like, we do at Charlotte Catholic with other teams. They want to spread it out. They're going to score points. We slow the game, muddy it up, and get first downs. We keep the strengths of the other teams off the field with their offense, and we control the clock. We eat 4 yards, we get 3 yards. We get 4 yards, we get 3 yards. And we methodically move the ball down the field and until you either kick a field goal or score a touchdown. And that was kind of what the Niners did yesterday. And they didn't have Bosa on defense. They had a banged-up linebacker. They didn't get any pressure on Stafford all night, but they found a way to win the game.
Yep.
And that's a credit to Shanahan, putting them in position to get down to the very end where at least we have a shot and not let the game, get out of hand.
Well, the Panthers, it's weird to say that this is a huge game for the Panthers when they're 1-3, but I really do think it's a huge game. And this is why I think it is. Number one, you're at home. They've been at home one other time this year and they beat the Falcons 30-0. A lot of the things that we've discussed and complained about with the Panthers, like the game plan, like the lack of aggressive on both sides of the ball. Canales spoke to those this week and did say that he, after going through all the film of the first 4 games, he has realized that they do need to go downfield more and blah, 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 be more aggressive. Jimmy Horn Jr. is going to be activated for the first time. So that's at least a move where he is going to offer something to the offense that we haven't had, an explosive guy that can be a home run threat, especially on those short little passes, that we saw San Fran throw so many of last night. We're not going to have Chuba Hubbard. He's out. So Dowdle's going to, who actually has played pretty good the last couple of weeks. We're going to see a lot of him, lean on him a lot. Etienne's probably going to get some carries back there, which gives us a little change of pace. Dolphins don't have Tyreek Hill, so that's good for the Panthers because Tyreek Hill was playing pretty well when he got hurt against the Dolphins, against the Jets. Miami's coming in 1-3 as well off of a win against the Jets Monday night, so they're on a short week. So I think this is going to be a big week. This is a game the Panthers have to win if you're going to do everything Canales said we wanted to do this year and show improvement. They had a stinker in New England where they go down, they score a touchdown right away, and then they give up, I believe, 42 straight unanswered points. So you're coming off your worst performance of the year, which is saying something because they've had some pretty bad halves, minus the Falcon game. But I think this is going to be a show us what you got kind of game. I want to see this team aggressive on both sides of the ball, which I've been calling for all year long. I want to see Bryce make the throws that he's been missing. I think Bryce has had okay year, but he's missed some easy throws that he's got to make. And then we got to see Tet McMillan hold on to the ball. He's had some big drops, even though he's off to a good start. But really what I'm excited, but also interested to see is just what is Canales going to show me? You know, like it's one thing to sit here and say, yep, I realize we need to go downfield more. I know we need to be more aggressive on both sides of the ball. First of all, I don't know why it took them 4 games to figure it out. Let me ask you a
question, because I know that's the sexy thing, and the natural reaction from us as fans is to big plays, home runs, score points. We just saw a game last night where we talked about the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at the Panthers and you look at the Niners last night, there's a lot of similarities with how they have to win games with injuries. Niners have better defense, in my opinion. They got better players. Joey Bosa's a guy when he's healthy. They didn't have him last night. Fred Warner's a better linebacker than anybody we have.
Oh, by far.
They have a couple of good DBs, but they were getting torched last night by Stafford and that receiving corps, right? But what was the difference? They didn't let that offense continue to score points. They kept them off the field.
Yep.
In order to kind of help their defense and keep the Rams offense off the field. In order for the Panthers to win football games, right, it's not going to be throw the ball down the field. It's not going to be taking big chances. It's going to be working within your scheme and executing the small things. The problem is the Panthers aren't executing, right? They're not executing those little small routes. Maybe they're not being put in position. That's the one thing, if I'm a coach, I would say we need to address. We need to start off by running the football. We got 2 good running backs. Unfortunately, one of them's not going to be healthy this week, but we have other good replacements.
Dowdle had 1,000 yards last year for the Cowboys. So he's certainly capable.
He's a capable running back.
Yep.
Right? We need to put a fullback in the backfield, an H guy that's going to motion across. If you look at the Niners and the way they run offense, everything they do is predicated with that little 45 that he runs across the field.
And they got the best fullback in the game probably, but we don't even use one.
We don't even have one, right? So I would start with implementing a fullback, and I know that you can't do that middle of the season first, this next game, but if this type of team is going to win games with Bryce Young at quarterback, it's not going to be throwing the ball down the field, taking big shots. It's going to be by ball control, by keeping the momentum, by wearing the other defense out and keeping what they do well, their offense, and what we do poorly off the field, right? Yep. It's playing to my strengths. That's the reason why Shanahan won that game last night, or the Niners won that game last night. So in the future for the Panthers, I know it's sexy and we want to see big plays. And we want McMillan to run the goes and go up there and treetop guys and do all those things. Those things don't win games, right? They help win games, but what win games is blocking, tackling, and execution on the little things that you do well, right? And that's what the Panthers have got to get back to, right? So I hope, to be honest with you, I hope he's blowing smoke up of our butts by going to these conferences and telling people what they want to hear. But that's, winning games is what we want.
Well, I think what he means, and what I mean by being aggressive, is that like the 3rd and 10 play call, like, you run the ball on 3rd and 10. And they asked him about that. I think Joe Person asked him about it, and he said, "Well, I thought
the expectation is to get 5."
Yeah, the defense they were playing,
and if we got 5, then we have a decision to make if we're going to go for a 4th down. So the lack of blocking, the execution part of that, where they didn't get the 5 yards, right, was the problem. That's the reason. So we're not executing well enough. It's not necessarily the play call. The play call, if you're going to,
although you did say that that. When you're the head coach, you have to build a scheme that fits your players, and that's what Shanahan's so great at.
That's right.
So I don't know if I see that.
Who's the best player on offense?
Chuba,
right? He's the most consistent.
Tet now,
he's the most consistent. I think Tet has a lot of potential.
Yep.
Right, but he needs somebody to get him the ball by throwing it to him. I can take him away by doing what? Double covering him. Right? He's not going to be a physical guy.
Which we're going to see tomorrow, I'm sure, or Sunday.
We're going to see that for the rest of the season because we don't have anybody else.
Yep.
We're going to see them take away. You can take away a receiver much easier than you can take away a running game, right? You can take away a receiver much easier than you can do that. So if what your strengths are is running the football, right, with Hubbard and Dowdle, right, and using play action, those are the things that are going to win you the game. The problem is the play calling doesn't fit with our run scheme, right? It doesn't coincide. It's like, okay, we're either going to drop back and gun and throw the ball all down the field. We don't have that type of offense. We don't have those type of receivers. We don't have that type of quarterback. Or we're going to line up and heavy and put 2 tights out there and a big guy, at tackle, and we're going to run it down your throat. Well, guess what? The defense is going to match up. And we don't do that well better than the other team does well either. So you have to have a combination. You have to keep guys off balance. And right now, the Panthers don't have an identity again because they don't know who they want to be. right? You have a great receiving core. You want to get McMillan the ball because that's what fans are calling for, right? But your best option is running the football with your two horses back there and leaning on them and taking a guy like Bryce out of the equation a little bit. Make him throw the quick passes. Run little checkouts, little flares on the backfield, little Texas routes with those running backs, and put guys in position to be successful. And I think that's the challenge right now for the Panthers, and that's where you could really see a guy like Etienne, go out there and exploit a defense if he is able to execute his routes and be consistent by doing those things, right? Because I think that's the fear with a guy like Etienne is that coach, I got a young player here. I don't know if I can trust him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of moving parts. I said a whole lot right there to say this is that, the Panthers aren't very good.
Yeah. Well, I can't argue with you, and their record would certainly echo that. Now, Miami's defense is certainly not a juggernaut, right? So their defense does. I think we will have an opportunity to be a little more aggressive and try to establish the run. Xavier Legette comes back. His story we've talked about, he's been non-existent so far this year after a okay rookie year. We need him to become a player. And he doesn't have to become our number one, but we really need him to become some type of threat to. And again, with those little passes, he's a big, fast dude. You get him
that was the intent.
Exactly. Break a tackle and
it's a little crossing route that people are going to flood zones in, right? They're going to keep everything in front of you. They're not going to let the quarterback run and scamper and beat you. But he has to be able to catch the ball in those windows. But the problem is he has to know how to sit in those windows, and he has to know when to run through those windows. And right now, I think the biggest challenge he's having is processing, these things and understanding the game. And maybe it's not putting the time into being a pro, right? And, it's one thing to be big, fast, and strong. And he's got all of those check, right?
Yeah.
It's another thing to understand.
Yeah.
I can't teach stupid, right? And I'm not calling him stupid, but, if you can't continue, if you continue to not know where you're at on the field, if you continue to run yourself into coverage, if you continue to do these things, that's what we have to start assuming.
Well, and here's the thing. Listen, last year when Canales benched Bryce, and he learned and he came back, and we definitely saw a better quarterback the rest of the way.
Bryce is a cerebral guy.
I think so too. And
I think he would take that to heart. I think he would look and say, I can learn two things by doing, but I'm also going to learn one thing by watching.
Yep.
Can we say the same thing about Legette?
That's what I was saying. We're going to find out, because they didn't call this a benching, right? It was his hamstring. So who knows? Regardless, he's had 2 weeks to not play and also hear the chatter. And they asked him about it in the locker room yesterday about people calling him a bust and all these things. And he did. I liked his answer. I mean, he said, look, I'm going to come out and prove to everybody that I am that guy. Well, I that's what I want you to say. That's what you should say. And now I need to see it on the field, because listen, if Legette just becomes a solid number 2, that by itself does a lot for this offense.
And he should be. Yeah. Because especially now, if you're going to double Tet, there is going to be a lot more opportunities to win one-on-one matchups.
Yep.
And I'll say this, in the NFL, probably about 5% is scheme, putting guys in position. But defenses on the other side are so aware of and have done so much research and homework that they're going to see everything. They're going to have seen every formation. They're going to see every run. They're going to see. You're not going to fool them and trick them into getting open.
Yeah,
you have to win. Yeah, you have to win one-on-one battles. Me against you in space as a receiver, I should win because I know where I'm going. I know what the count's on, and I know what route I'm running. Right. And now I have to get you to. I have to beat you. I have to get you to bite. I have to out physical you or whatever it is. That's what football is about. So one-on-one matchups, amongst 11 players, and the team that wins most of those one-on-one matchups wins the game.
Yep. And it looks like Wanham's going to be back. So, and I think Pat Jones looks like he might be back. So it does look like we're going to get our 2 outside backers back. I do think the experience that Scorton has gotten over the past 2 weeks, and he's looked okay. I mean, he's looked lost a couple times, but I do like the fact that at least some of these young guys are getting to play. I do think we're going to see Ransom more this week, just because whenever he's on the field, the dude makes plays. Canales talked about being more aggressive on both sides of the ball, which is what we've been calling for. I'm hoping we see that on defense too. You and I talked about this on Monday, and you brought up a story with my dad, how every time blitz. But you even said it, like, we have 2 sacks. We're the last in the NFL in sacks, coming off a season when we sucked at getting pressure on the quarterback. we've got to get pressure on Tua. And I think we can. I think this is a game that we can. I think we could get 2 sacks this game. Like, I think this game is wide open for that. We're going to be at home, which like I said, we played great against Atlanta at home. The other thing,
let me comment on what you just said right there, because I mean, I think in principle what you're saying is 100% right. I'm going to take you back to last night's game again. Right? Who's the defensive coordinator for the Niners?
Salah.
Yeah, the old head coach for the Jets.
Yep.
Probably one of the more aggressive defensive coordinators in the league. He's gonna come after you. He's gonna play with P&V. He's gonna make sure that you're going to play to his personality.
Yep.
You know how many times they blitzed Stafford last night? Probably about 80% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what Stafford did? He picked him apart. He picked him apart. He picked him apart. You know why? Because he had guys that could win one-on-one battles and knew what their routes were supposed to be. He knew if this guy was blitzing, the receiver knew that I can't run a go route. I have to stop my route short, check out, and be ready for the ball, right? They're in sync. They're on the same page. The problem the concern I have with the Panthers is that not only that, even if the defense is calls a perfect blitz, he's unblocked, he's going right to the quarterback can still get rid of the ball. Mm-hmm. Right. So blitz doesn't necessarily mean sacks. What it does is creates timing mismatches, and hopefully those other guys to start thinking and not being on the same page where you have a turnover, you have a tip ball, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But if they're in line, we used to. As a player, when Berline was at quarterback, when Kurt Warner was at quarterback, when you had a veteran guy, you begged them to blitz because we were going to eat you up.
Yep.
We please blitz, because that's a big play for us.
Yep.
Right. And we made a living off of doing those things because the offensive line, they knew who to block. They knew where the protection was. The receivers, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Hakeem, they knew where to run.
Yep.
And we had a pretty good offensive line to protect.
Plus, you had a running back that could catch
and Marshall
anything.
Faulk, and Marshall Faulk, who was the difference maker. Now, the Panthers aren't that.
Right.
Right. Most teams aren't, but the Rams are pretty damn close, minus the Marshall Faulk.
Mm.
They have some damn good receivers. They have a quarterback that's cerebral, and they just ate that blitz up. So if the Panthers are going to blitz, it doesn't necessarily mean sacks. And it also means that you're going to be one-on-one, in positions that you may not feel comfortable with.
Well, that was leading to my next point. The
fact that Tyreek Hill is not there is a good thing for us, because I would be scared to death to blitz if he was out there.
No doubt, because they have Waddle, who's still a very good receiver, but other than him, they really don't have much. But there are 2 things that they do have that could present a huge problem. Now, listen, we've talked about the Panthers' run defense this year and how statistically it's much improved from last year statistically. We also agree that, they've also been behind by 20 points in every game, I think, but one. Or Jacksonville maybe wasn't quite 20, it might have been 14. But regardless, and we know that has something to probably do with that as well. We know that when we played Atlanta here against Bijan Robinson, we get out to a big lead. So they had to throw the ball more. But again, we held their running game in check, knowing they did have to throw the ball a lot more.
What's it? O'Shane is a beast.
He's a beast. And when he breaks through, he's gone. Yep. So we're going to really learn about this run defense this week. That's why getting out to a lead, I think, would be huge. And then the other thing that they've got that has been eating the Panthers alive, we saw New England wear us out with Hunter Henry, is we can't cover tight ends. And that seems to be a theme for years for this team. Our linebackers, we've talked about them all day long till our faces are blue about how we probably have the worst linebacker core in the NFL.
Tight ends are getting better and our linebackers are getting worse.
Yeah, and Waller, for Miami, if you watched the Jet game the other night, I think he had 2 touchdowns. He's got great hands. He's big, fast. We're going to have to figure out how to cover him. So when we do blitz, and this is to your point, who's going to cover Waller across the board? Who's going to cover? Because he's going to be an outlet for Tua.
You heard Beast talk about, that challenge, right? With, when he was playing, there was Giants or here, the hard part is to find a player that is multidimensional that can do both.
Yeah.
Right, the guy that can play like a safety, because if he was a glorified safety, he was a undersized linebacker.
Yes, he was a safety,
but he was he was very similar to TD. Very similar to TD, very undersized linebacker, but a physical safety. So he was kind of a tweener that could run, and he could cover, those guys. But he had to play against some damn good tight ends: Tony Gonzalez, Jimmy Graham, big guys, 6'8", guys that can run, great route runners, and he had to physically match up with those guys.
Yep.
We don't have that type of player. We don't have a multi-dimensional backer. The way that we play defense, or the way they want to play defense, is they want to put that backer out, drop him in the middle, play zone defense, kind of see the crossing routes. We can't get to him. right? Because I don't think we have the athleticism at that position to be able to get sideline to sideline and or cover those tight ends. You're right. That's a huge problem for anybody we play, especially if they start running the ball with a chain, because now those linebackers are forced to do what? Run up to stop the run.
Yep.
And now they have to get back to stop the pass. And it's just a challenge. If you're not getting home with four guys on the defensive line,
and that's why I said, I think we're going to learn a lot in this game, like about Canales' coaching, especially after what he's been on record saying this week. We're going to learn a lot about this defense because when you give up 42 unanswered points, I don't care how you want to look at it. That sucks. And so we're going to learn a lot there. And then one of the things that that I am excited about as well with the Panthers is the fact that they activated Jimmy Horn Jr. Now, look, he's a 6th-round pick for a reason. He's 5'8.5", runs a 4.4. If you watched him play at Colorado, the dude is very explosive. He's a home run hitter, and they didn't have that. David Moore dislocates his elbow the first play of the game against the Patriots. So now Horn's going to get his chance. Canales has said that they're going to they're working him into the game plan. So they're putting some plays in for him. And so we should see him get some action. And when you are a fan of a team that's 1-3 and a fan of a team that hasn't won in what seems a decade.
I got some great stats for the lack of winning that we've experienced under David Tepper.
So you have to hang on to little things, right? So with Horn getting getting activated this week and going to play, I'm at least excited to see what he has. I'm not expecting much because, again, there's a reason he's a 6th-round pick. And
if we're expecting Jimmy Horn to bail us out,
no doubt.
We are very, very desperate.
But you know what it reminds me of? And again, I'm not comparing him to this guy.
Please, Steve C. Smith.
Well, it reminds me that when Steve Smith was, he's a 3rd-round pick out of Utah, and I used to watch a lot of the Utah games because they were later at night. So if I needed to get out of the hole from my gambling from the day that afternoon, I would watch them. And they always had this kid, Steve Smith, that it seemed like every time I watched, he would break a punt return for a touchdown, or he'd make some play where
he was the only player that wasn't either Tongan, Samoan, or 35 years old.
Right, exactly. And he made play after play after play. Yeah. And I remember when the Panthers drafted him, I was excited. And he didn't start at receiver the first few games, but he, I think, had a kickoff return the first game. Like, you could see that he just had something that we didn't have on the team already. And I remember when they first started getting him in at receiver, I think George Seifert was the coach at the time. It was electric. Now, I'm not comparing Jimmy Horn Jr. to Steve Smith.
I mean, it was either Seifert or Fox. I don't remember when he was drafted. Was he before or after Peppers?
He was before Peppers.
So, yeah, if he was before Peppers.
I think it was Seifert's last year.
It was Seifert's last year. That would have been, his draft.
And Seifert was known for not liking to play young players.
Yep.
Anyway, that's what I it reminds me of, because Jimmy Horn Jr., and again, I'm not comparing him to Steve Smith by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that what he brings to the table, we do not have on this team. So if they put him in the right position, which you just talked about, if they scheme him up, if they can get the ball in his hands while he's running, not having to, and like we saw San Fran do last night, where Kendrick Bourne, who has been a disappointment so far in the NFL, last night he looked like a game breaker, and it was a lot of these plays where he was making catches in stride and he's a big dude. Well, Jimmy Horn Jr. is not a big dude, but you get him in stride, he can go. So I am excited.
Let's look at what the Colorado players have done that all got drafted. What have they done so far in the NFL? They've not really done much. Travis Hunter has one play maybe. As a guy that was supposed to be,
he's actually played better on defense than his offense. So most people thought would be the opposite.
So he's been kind of a disappointment, I would say. Shedeur Sanders has, now a 6th round, 7th round pick, hasn't seen any playing time. Yet to be determined.
Well, Dylan Gabriel got named the starter for Cleveland this week, the rookie that they took in the 3rd round, and Shedeur's still the 3rd quarterback.
So that tells you,
he gets interviewed more than any 3rd quarterback in the NFL history. But
it tells you what the Browns think of that position and who should be the starter, the guy that they drafted 3rd. They're going to trust the guy that they drafted and give him a shot. And now we see another guy from Colorado that was a difference maker, when he was with the Buffs, but no longer, he hadn't seen the field yet. I mean, so we're going to find out. If this was all hype, or if this was something that, the Colorado Buffs, they weren't like a world beater, were they? They didn't win like 11, 12 games and competing for a national championship. They had 2 or 3 good players, and now we're seeing them.
And now we did see and I'm going to mess his, I think his last name is Wester, but he was on Colorado, kind of like Jimmy Horn Jr., shorter receiver that could burn it. And he's on Baltimore. Baltimore signed him as an undrafted free agent. And he has made some plays. I know he had a big return in preseason, but even in regular season, he's flashed some. So I'm hoping Jimmy Horn Jr. can do that. It's at least exciting to see a new toy on the field. Hopefully he works, and hopefully they can get the ball in his hands. But I'm at least excited to see that. But I tell you what, if the Panthers come out here with the whole, like I like to call it, it's almost like Canales dips his toe in the water and then he just sees what it feels like, and then he waits. And I've made the analogy where I feel like the Panthers are playing in a museum and don't want to break anything, where the really good teams are going in there like a bull in a china shop, and they're going in there with one purpose, and that's to break everything.
Well, it feels like, I agree with you. It feels like there's not a lot of confidence right now. There's not a lot of synergy. There's not a lot of momentum. There's not a lot of guys fighting for each other. The offense isn't fighting for the defense. The defense isn't fighting for the offense. I don't know if their confidence is at all-time high, and I don't blame them. I mean, I was wide awake at like 4:00 in the morning, and I don't know if it's about you, but I have my best thoughts at like 4 a.m. And even when I was doing a radio show, I would get up at 4 a.m. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a great topic, whatever it might be. And all these stats, and the way I would say it would just come out perfectly. Then I'd go back to sleep and I'd forget everything that I talked about. Right. So I started writing these things down at like 4 a.m. to kind of help me out. And it's crazy. Everybody's talking about that record of 32. And since David Tepper has taken over, 32 and 90 something, right? 33%. The second, they're tied for the lowest winning percentage in the last decade with the Jets.
Yep.
And that's not somebody we want to be compared to.
Nope.
Since he has taken over the team, and Panthers have only had back-to-back wins 5 times. The quarterbacks were Cam Newton. They won 3 in a row with him in 2018. That was his last year. Kyle Allen had 4 wins in straight in 2019. Teddy Bridgewater had 3 wins in a row in 2020. Sam Darnold had 1 time.
Yeah, he did it right. I think we started 3-0 with him.
Right, 1 time in 2021, and Bryce Young has done it 1 time in 2024 when he came back from his benching.
Yep.
Right, but 4 times, 5 times. They've done it 5 times in the last since David Tepper has been the owner. Bryce Young's record as a starter,
it's not good.
7-24.
Yeah.
At home, he's pretty good. He has a 60%. He's 6-10.
He's won 6 of his 7 wins.
So I mean, that might be something that we can look at.
Well, and again, listen, the Panthers so far were a different team against Atlanta here at home. Obviously they won 30-0, but and the communication, all these issues they were having, you talked about at home, that should all improve, and it did.
But you play half your games on the road,
no question. But this next game, I know it's
1-14 on the road. 1-14 on the road.
I gave you the stats the other day that he's tied for the worst road record through that many games with Steve DeBerg. It was, I forget the other 2 quarterbacks, but it were guys that weren't good quarterbacks. So you can't blame all that on Bryce, no doubt. But like we talked about Monday, we need him to be a leader.
He's thrown 22 interceptions to 31 touchdowns. He has a 60%
on the road.
No, altogether. He's way worse on the road.
Yeah.
Right. He's a 60% passer and has only thrown for 300 yards 2 times in his 34 starts. 300 yards is like a 100-yard rusher nowadays. If you can't throw for 300 yards in the NFL as a quarterback, you don't belong back there.
Well, this game, like I said, Miami's defense is a solid defense. They're not a great defense. We should be able to move the ball on them. They certainly don't put the pressure on quarterbacks like a team like Atlanta had been doing when we played them. So I do think that this is a game that the Panthers should win. I don't know if they will win, and we'll make our pick.
I have more, and there's more. Right, and there's more. I asked ChatGPT, and I don't know how to use that damn thing to save my life, so I Googled it. Right,
I'm learning.
I'm learning as we speak. Right, so I think Bryce is the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Wow,
and it's not close.
Wow,
it's not close. Name me another one. Other than
is Spencer Rattler better than him? I would say
he would be the one guy that I would say. But his yards are better than his. His completion percentage is better than his. His interception to touchdowns is better than his. So what makes Bryce Young better? Because he's the number 1 overall pick. Right? He's smaller than Rattler. right? I mean, he's not as fast as Rattler. What makes him better than Rattler? I just don't see it. We'll call him the same. That's who we're comparing our quarterback to.
Well, I mean, yeah, you certainly can't compare him to the big boys,
right?
No doubt. And then if you look at the guys who are in that middle, I mean, listen, I don't put all that on Bryce. I mean, he's also had no receivers. He's had 4 different offensive coordinators in 4 years, whatever. I mean, I'm not blaming it all on Bryce, but I am saying this, and we said this Monday. Now's the time for Bryce to show us what he's got. Because if you're a leader,
what's their record?
I'm with you. But if you're a leader,
what's his yards
and if you're going to
game?
be the man, and you're going to be the number, the guy that was the number 1 pick, and if we're going to extend you, which that's coming up, do you extend him or not?
Him.
Well, that's my point.
Did you hear those stats?
But that's why I'm saying this game to me.
It's time to cut him
to start this
it's
process.
It's time to bench him.
No,
it is time to bench him. I don't care.
Like to put in Andy
Dalton. You want
to
win games?
I think Bryce, I think you're being too harsh on him. I think that, you can pull the numbers and listen, no one can really argue. Although his numbers this year, if you compare to the league, are definitely more middle of the pack.
On the road.
I'm with you, but this game's at home, and that's why I'm saying that I think this is a huge game, not to go to the playoffs, not to win the Super Bowl. We're not even talking that. I'm saying a huge game for our coach and our quarterback in particular to show us what they got, because they're running out of time.
Who's the worst team in the NFL, in your opinion? Worst record, worst team.
Well, they have the worst record, but I'd have to say the Saints.
I again go back to ChatGPT. If the Panthers were to play the Saints, according to Vegas, not according to me and you and all these other perhaps, this is Vegas, the ones that build the big buildings for being right all the time. Panthers would be a 3-point underdog.
Not at home. No way.
The Panthers would be
no way. We're a 1.5 point underdog to the Dolphins.
The Panthers would be a 3-point. It's right here. Spread 3-point underdogs. Saints are the favorite team, right?
Where's the game?
Neutral site.
Yeah, neutral. At Panthers, it would be
only team that, again, this is against the Titans, the worst record in football right now. The Panthers would be 2.5 point favor, 2.5 point dog.
Titans are probably the worst team. You're right.
The Titans. The only team that they would be favored over is guess who?
The Titans. I'm trying to think who's the worst team. I don't know.
The Miami Dolphins.
Well, we're getting
the Panthers would be favored against only one team in the NFL, and it's the Dolphins at minus 1.5.
Even though we're getting 1.5.
So
I mean,
things have changed since ChatGPT on Wednesday.
Well, listen, I think that we can dive into numbers, and I think numbers are important. And I'm not a guy that believes that you use numbers here and you don't use them here. Because listen, in any business, we know that you can use numbers to make arguments.
Numbers don't always tell the truth,
right? Or to do research, or whatever.
That's right.
All I'm saying is throw the numbers out the window. This game to me, and again, not to go to the playoffs, not to go to the Super Bowl. This game to me is a game where we need to see our quarterback be a leader. We need to see our coach show us that he can draw up a scheme and be more aggressive and all the things he's talking about. But would I bet on it? I don't know.
What you're asking them to do something that they've been trying to do for 35 games.
That's when
you're asking them to do the same thing.
No, I'm asking them not to do the same thing.
Well, yeah, you want
don't do the same thing.
You don't want that, but you don't think they've been trying to do exactly what you're talking about. What makes them all of a sudden, poof,
yeah,
we're going to put our tough hats on today. We're going to bring our lunch pails in and we're going to work. Right?
Well, I have a feeling when we pick that game, I know which way you're going, and we'll get to pick.
The only thing I'm hesitant. The only thing I'm hesitant is Bryce's 6-10 record at home.
Well,
and that's the only thing that's keeping me from betting the house.
Well, and listen, in Miami.
Tyreek kills up.
Miami beat the Jets at home, in Miami. They came off a game where they gave the Bills in Buffalo a good game. They played hard, where a lot of people at this time was thinking their coach is going to be the first to be fired. The players have quit. Well, they haven't. They're fighting. So this isn't going to be an easy game for the Panthers, but it's definitely a game that you should win, in my opinion. If you're going to tell me all the things that the coaches have said.
Let me do a little role acting for you, and I'm going to be Dave Canales.
Oh God.
And you can be Legette. Okay, you want to be Legette? Who do you want to be?
Well, depends on what.
Be Bryce,
depends on what scenario you're going to put me in.
No, you're going to be the player. I'm going to be the coach.
All right.
Okay. Hey, Legette, how you doing? Oh yeah, that sounds good. How you feel? You feel like you're going to go out there and do well today?
Legette did say this week that he's ready to roll.
No, you're Legette.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll.
Get me the ball. Give me the ball.
Give me the ball. Okay. Yes, sir. I got you. We're going to make sure you get everything you need. We're going to take care of you. But now if you go out there and make a mistake, right, what am I going to say? I'm going to say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. All right. Do you need something? You want to pass? I mean, do you need a pillow? Can I get you some milk?
What you're saying leads
cookies?
exactly into what I've said about Canales. Is like, is he going to be a head coach as a leader and have to bust heads when he has to bust heads, or is he going to see? I'm getting pumped up.
You're starting to get pumped up.
Or is he going to be this nice guy and everybody agrees he seems to be a great guy?
Some coaches bring the belt out.
Well,
other coaches bring other parents bring milks and cookies.
Well, he better bring the belt out because
milk and cookies.
One thing that I will say is his seat's getting hot. And a lot of people thought that there's no way Tepper would make a move this year. Well, if you watch Tepper leaving the New England game last weekend, he looked as angry as he did when he
should be mad at himself. I mean, the record's horrible since here's what's crazy.
He's also gone through coaches. He's gone through this.
Okay, but whose fault is that?
That's my point.
It's like if you start a business and you go through 5 general managers, right? You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're looking for, right? As a business owner.
So are you out on Canales, out on Bryce? I mean, you said you'd bench Bryce, so you're out on him.
I'm out. I mean, I've seen enough. The proof is in the pudding. Where is he going to get better? I mean, we've got him the receivers, right?
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, they might have whiffed on Legette. We'll see. Time will tell.
Are they whiffing on Legette? If Legette goes somewhere else,
definitely have.
If Legette goes to the San Francisco 49ers, who is he?
I mean, I can't imagine he would be as bad as he's been here. Right? Although Mingo went to the Cowboys and it's the same Mingo.
Okay,
so,
I mean, you can say those things all day, but I mean, okay, what quarterbacks have we had here under Canales that have gone elsewhere? Baker Mayfield, was he here?
Was he with Canales?
I mean, he was.
I think they were before him.
Sam Darnold.
They were both here before him.
What's Sam Darnold's contract right now?
No, wait.
He's on one of the best teams in the NFL, isn't he?
Well, I mean, Seattle's pretty good.
Yep, they're near the top.
They're one of our games we're going to pick.
Yep, they're near the top 5. Well, what other quarterback has he had here that's gone on?
And I think we're saying the same thing. I'm saying that they're running out of time.
So it's either
you're saying that they've ran out of time. I'm saying they're running out of time. I think
they're done.
I'm not willing to sit here and say that Bryce can't be a good quarterback because I've seen him be a good quarterback. I'm not willing to say Canales can't be a good coach because I'm not sure yet. But I will say he's running out of time.
TJ, last night. The quarterback, Matt Jones, was a good quarterback for one game, right?
He actually won in New Orleans as well.
He for one game, right? He was a good quarterback last night. The difference between good quarterbacks and starting quarterbacks is inconsistencies, right? That's the difference between starters and backups. Starters are going to do it every single time, right? You might lose 1 out of 10. Backups are going to lose 3, 4, 5 out of 10, right? They're still good. They're still good enough to those 5. They're going to look as good as any starter in the NFL. Matt Jones last night looked as good as any starter in the NFL. Bryce Young, when he got hot, looked as good as any quarterback in the NFL. But what happens when they don't?
Mm-hmm.
They're so bad. They're so bad that you have to bench them, right? Bryce Young is a backup quarterback in this league.
Wow.
He's a backup quarterback in this league. And I'm not saying anything that the numbers don't show, the record doesn't show, the stats don't show, the intangibles don't show. I mean, where is he a leader? Where is he going to get guys better? He's going to be a great guy coming off the bench because you know what? He plays well when he comes off the bench. He won 2 games in a row. It's the only time in his career he's done it. Right. And then what happened? You go back to the same old Bryce. You start losing again. Well, right. So coming off the bench, I can trust this guy. He's really good. But I can't trust him as a starter every down because he's 7-35.
Well, I'm hoping that you're wrong, and I really can't argue that you might be right. Like normally, I would have no problem arguing with you. I can't really defend against what you're saying because you're making valid points. I just am not ready to say that Bryce can't be a good quarterback. Canales, I don't know.
Time out. I didn't say he couldn't.
I mean, a good starting quarterback.
He is not a starting quarterback. He's still an NFL player. He still can be a good quarterback at times, 2 times in a row, right? In 3.5 years, right? And he can come off the bench and be very serviceable, but he's not a starting quality quarterback.
Well,
He's not big. He doesn't have a great arm. He's not fast. He's not a great leader from what we've seen. We don't know. Maybe, he's rah-rah, go out and do these things, but that doesn't make you a good leader.
He's certainly not this. And this is what
he's not a winning quarterback.
This is what I'm looking for.
I want a winner.
Well, I'm looking for him to take the team on his shoulders and make plays. And that's what you're saying. That's what a leader does. I don't need him to do the rah-rah. I need him to take the game over and make play. Yeah. And win the game. Go make a perfect pass when we have to on 3rd and 10.
You're supposed to be in the right position.
Exactly.
I said this is what we practice every week.
Yep. That's what I want to see. And with Canales, I want to see him coach with more urgency. Now listen, it's funny.
Not in him.
When Ron Rivera was the head coach of the Panthers, and you
hated him on the sideline.
On the sideline. I love him as a guy.
Let me say this. You hated his demeanor as a coach on the sideline.
He was just very stoic, whatever. I love Ron Rivera, and I think he's not only a great man, but I think that he is a good football coach, but I couldn't stand his demeanor.
3-time coach of the year.
No doubt. But,
or 2-time.
But if you remember when things changed, when he became Riverboat Ron, which he was not Riverboat Ron before this, when he was on the hot seat and when every reporter was saying that he was going to get fired, he started coaching a hell of a lot differently. He started going for it more on 4th down. That's where the whole Riverboat Ron, and it changed the way he coached. And I think
it changed the way he coached for that year. Yes, it did. Because he was still conservative, right? Because there's one thing I know about people, right? Defensive coaches, by nature, are going to do what?
They're going to be more conservative.
They're going to be why? Because they want they think their defense is the best part of their team. Always. Every defensive coach out there feels that way, right? We're going to win this game on defense. This is what we're strong at. This is what I know I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to, lean on, punt the ball. Every offensive coach is going to lean more towards what?
Scoring
points, being aggressive, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Sometimes it can be careless either way, right? If you're too conservative or if you're too aggressive, both of those can come and bite you in the butt. But Ron Rivera, that 1 year his butt was on the hot seat. It forced him into being more aggressive on the offense. But that's not who he was. He reverted back to that after that season, after they made the playoffs, after they had that run. And on those situations, maybe he became a little more aggressive, but he wasn't. I think he wasn't Riverboat Ron like everybody called him.
I agree with that, but I do think that when he was coaching with more urgency, I do think it changed the way he coached even in the future. And you're right. That 1 year he was a hell of a lot more aggressive than he was the years after that. But I do think it changed him. I'm hoping Canales right now. I mean, listen.
You also had with Riverboat Ron who?
Cam Newton, no doubt.
How many chances? So. What did Ron understand?
He knew that
my better chance with this player is going to be what? Let's go for it on 4th and 1 because I got a difference maker at the quarterback. Are you saying the same thing with this team?
No. That's
Canales.
Not yet. And like I said, we're running out of time because
what is Bryce Young going to do on 4th and 1 that Cam?
Well, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying in general. Like I haven't seen Bryce. I want him to take over a game. That's what your leaders do. On defense, for instance, we could name 100 players on defense. You just mentioned Fred Warner from San Francisco. He'll take over a game on a good defense. He'll take over a game. We haven't seen anybody on our offense, really on defense. Derek Brown is obviously having a good year, but on offense, we haven't seen anybody. I need Bryce to take over a game. I need Canales to coach more urgency. Bryce is not
that type of player, bud. I keep telling you that. He needs other guys around him to get the ball. He's not a ball-dominant guy. Cam Newton could take over a game. A running back can take over.
I don't even mean
because they have the ball in their hand.
I don't even mean taking over a game from a running. I mean just taking over a game from throwing accurate dimes
getting in rhythm
situations.
Getting in rhythm.
Yeah. And in important situations, nutting up and completing a hard pass.
In order to do those things, right, you have to have a coach that's willing to call those things. If I'm a coach and I don't trust the record, if I don't trust my quarterback, because why? He's 1-14 on the road. He's 6-10 at home. He's He's thrown as many 23 interceptions to 31 touchdowns. Right? He's not a guy that's going to be able to take the ball and put it in his hands. And I'm going to call a running play as I spread everybody else and isolate one-on-one where we have a favorable matchup. I don't have that guy. I have a guy that I don't have receivers that I can trust to get open. I don't have those guys. One guy can't speak English. Or stay in bounds. The other guy, they're going to double team, take him away. So who's going to be that guy?
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, I think this game's a huge game for a lot of people on the Panthers. The coach, Bryce Young, and again, not to go to the playoffs. I'm not saying it's a huge game for our playoff run. I'm saying it's just a huge game to figure out who you are. And we hear what you want to be, but we need to see it. And Bryce Young, the time's now. Coach Canales, the time's now. So enough about the Panther game. Hopefully they get it done.
Good luck.
They're going to be one of the teams we'll pick here in a little while. We're going to switch over to doing some college football.
Okay.
We'll do our picks while we talk about the game.
Perfect.
So Frank and I now for the year are tied at 29-22. So we both do have a winning record.
I'll let you back in. I feel like Bryce Young right now.
I got back in the game, baby.
Bryce Young. No, I feel more like probably Andy Dalton.
Because I'm a game changer. I do. I take over, and I'm coming back after you got out to a good start. First game to talk about, and these are two teams.
This is for the weekend.
Yep. And,
starting tonight?
Well, the first game's tonight, and that's one of your picks.
Yeah.
But the first game I want to talk about is Clemson minus 13.5 at North Carolina. Both teams so far this year have been huge disappointments. Obviously, the excitement with Bill Belichick coming to Carolina has not panned out thus far. Clemson had national championship hopes. A lot of people picked them to win the national championship. Now, I think I predicted 3 weeks ago that I didn't think they'd even make a bowl game.
You know what this reminds me of? Which coach is more disappointing? I'd rather choose that than this game. Which coach has been a bigger letdown this season? The Clemson Tigers, they were supposed to be they were ranked 5 in the country, supposed to have this dominant defensive line. They play in spurts. Klubnik is a guy that has just been such a disappointment.
Yep.
Their offense is stagnant at best.
Yep.
They're getting beat by everybody. Dabo is trying to defend himself and everybody else on this team, but huge disappointment. And on the other side, you got Belichick, who all the hype in the world surrounded. They're going to be a 10-win team. He's going to change this culture. They're going to start blocking and tackling better than everybody else. Wah, 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 wah.
No doubt. I mean, it's been two huge. I mean, these are probably the two most disappointing teams in the league, definitely in the South. So Clemson's a 13.5.
Definitely in the ACC.
Definitely in the ACC, and they're a 13.5. Clemson's a 13.5 point favorite.
Not enough.
And you think Clemson wears them out?
I think Clemson wears them out.
Both teams had a week off last week,
Yeah.
so you got to think that if you're Clemson in particular, you got to think Dabo and those boys were stewing, knowing that the national media is killing them. They're a huge disappointment, and now they're coming.
Clemson has lost a lot of close games. They have looked awful doing it. They started off very slow. Georgia Tech, was a back and forth game. You thought they might be able to get
field goal at the buzzer.
LSU, the same thing. Right, they've been in games.
But then they get whooped by Syracuse at home,
and then to lose by get worn out by Syracuse was an embarrassment.
Yep.
Right, and I'm not going to say it was a look pass game because there was nobody look past.
No.
I mean that was a must win game for them, and they laid an egg.
Yep.
So coming into this game, I got to believe that if Dabo has any sense or sort of possibility of staying with this team, if they don't blow out North Carolina, that's just as much as a loss. If they don't cover this spread, that would be a loss to me as a coach.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I will say this: if I'm trying to just paint a little picture on each team, I think Dabo has to have learned now that his whole anti-portal, anti-this, anti-that has got to go out the window, because I think if he hadn't learned now that he ain't going to win, he can't compete. And then if you're Bill Belichick, if I'm going to paint a prettier picture, this is his first year there. He brought in 50-something new players. It does take time. I get it. Now, does anyone think that they were going to be this bad of a product this year? No, but they've been awful.
After their first drive, which was like, oh my gosh, I mean, maybe, here they come.
Yeah.
And then everything since then has been downhill.
I mean, thank God they had Charlotte on their schedule because, and they only beat them 20-3. So Clemson minus 13.5. Who you got?
I got Clemson all day.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think Clemson, this is a perfect game for them to get right. It's in conference. I think that Dabo, like I said, with that week off, he's going to have these guys.
Let me tell you the biggest challenge for Clemson. And this is a real thing, and it's hard to express. And I don't know if there's any points for it. Like Vegas would take this into consideration. But when I'm playing for the Arizona Cardinals, and we had a home game in Arizona, there was maybe 15,000, 8,000 people there, and it felt like you were getting ready to take a nap, right?
Yeah.
Normally, when you're a road team and you go to somebody else's place, you're expecting what? Hostile environment.
Yeah.
It's us against the world. And then you get there
off of it.
And it's crickets, and it lulls you to sleep a little bit, right? Shane Matthews, who played here with the Panthers with me, was with the Vikings. And he said, this is the hardest game that we've had to play this year because we're not playing in front of anybody. There's no crowd.
Yep.
right? What I mean, so that's a real thing, and that's a potential of happening
now,
here because nobody's going to be at this Carolina game.
They're going to
unless
be
they're
there.
watching Clemson.
They're going to be there. I don't know how long they'll be there, but you're overlooking. You're overlooking something big. Ludacris is doing a concert at the stadium.
There'll be more people watching Ludacris than anybody else.
I wonder if Ludacris will have his penny loafers and his wine and cheese. But anyway, Clemson, we both got 13.5. Let's go on to the next game, and this is a game I'm really excited about. Vandy,
you're picking first here. This is a great game.
Vandy at Alabama.
I think this could be the game of the week.
Vandy beat Alabama last year for the first time in like 50 years. They've chirped a lot about the fact they whooped them. If you remember, I think they carried the field goal out of the field.
This is not the Nick Saban Alabama.
Well, and Alabama coming off a huge win at Georgia where they looked very good doing it. I mean, listen, we wondered what kind of team Alabama had, and we talked about if we don't know this quarterback, can we believe in him?
Well, not just him, the coach. I mean, you talk about coach after the first 2 games. Whose seat was hotter than his?
No doubt. And what they did was they went into Georgia and they looked like the Alabama that we knew in the Saban years. And that quarterback has a rocket arm, and he definitely missed some passes, but he also made some big ones. And their defense brought it against a very good Georgia offense. Vandy's scrappy. Pavea at quarterback is a scrappy kid. He's a chippy kid, talks a lot. Alabama this week has already talked about how embarrassed they were last year and how they're not overlooking Vandy and how they're I think the quarterback Simpson said literally, I can promise you what happened last year ain't happening this year. So they're in Alabama coming off that big win. I'm going to go Alabama is 10.5. I do think
Alabama's favored by 10.5.
And I hate those dang on hooks because I feel a lot more comfortable at 10, but I think Alabama, this is a perfect team for them to play after beating Georgia because I don't think they're going to have a letdown. I think they remember last year. I think they're going to remember how embarrassed they were, how much crap Vandy talked, and I think we're going to see a lot more of the Alabama we saw last week.
Vanderbilt, I watched them up close and in person against South Carolina. Mm-hmm. What they have done is they went out and got them an offensive line. They went out there and got them some speed on defense. They get after it, on both sides of the front 7. The difference for Vanderbilt is Pavea, right? And
he's tough.
He is that guy that you want Bryce Young to be, right? He is that guy that's going to grab people. He's going to play with his hair on fire. He's going to do some good things and make things happen. But, he also might make a boneheaded play here or there. Very similar to Johnny Manziel when he was at Texas A&M and has that type of swagger.
Yep.
He is a gamer, man. And
he is.
The fact that the game is at Alabama, I'm not sold on DeBoer yet. I loved him at Washington. But gosh, it's just a game that I'm going to take Vanderbilt. I'm taking Vanderbilt in the points just because of Pavea.
All right, next game. This is the marquee game of the weekend. You got the Miami going to Florida State. Miami's laying 4.5. Miami's undefeated. They've beat 3 ranked teams. Florida State coming in after losing.
What's the question of this game?
Well,
which Florida State team
that's
shows
it.
up?
I mean, we saw what Florida State did against Virginia where they lose in overtime. I love Florida State's quarterback. I think he's a stud. I'm going to give him a pass on Virginia and maybe they were looking ahead, which, that's the coach's job to not do that. He's going to be on the hot seat if they lose this one as well after not winning but 1 game last year. And Miami, we both agree when we've talked, they're legit. Like their offensive and defensive line are the best I've seen so far. Well, but they've beat a very good Notre Dame team. They've beat South Florida, who came in after winning 2.
And undefeated South Florida.
Yep. They beat Florida, who, listen, Florida's defense is legit, and that's a game we'll talk about here in a little bit. But we're going to find out if Florida State's the team that rolled Alabama, or are they the team that lost, on the road to Virginia. This is in Florida State, so I do think that's a big deal. So you're up first on this one.
Oh, gosh. You talk about rivalries back in the day, when I don't remember what the guy riding the horse would come out and stick the flag in the ground and have his war paint on and, the and just going off with the Warwick Duns and, the Bullwares and the guys that were just freaking all out wars with Miami and Florida State. I mean, gives me chills because as a child and a kid growing up, even in college, watching these games, I couldn't wait for Saturday to turn these things on and watch them.
Yep.
It has a little bit of feel like that back.
Yeah.
Right. And Miami, I think, has the better guys up front. I think they have the better coach. And they had a great season last year. I'm taking Miami. And what's the spread? I'd
4.5.
Who's favored?
Miami.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Ooh.
I know these spreads are tough today.
I think it's going to be a close game because I think Florida State has talent all over the place. They played like crap last week. They looked past Virginia. Virginia, we don't not giving Virginia. Virginia's a good football team. Yeah, but they don't have the caliber of players that Florida State has. But rivalry game, just field goal. I'm still taking Miami. I'm going to roll with them.
All right, I'm going Florida State. I think that we're going to see a lot more of the Florida State team that we saw against Alabama. Last week against Virginia was their first road game this season. They get back home. The crowd's going to be nuts. And so I think we're going to see the best Florida State has. Now, if that's good enough to win, I don't know. But getting the 4.5 points, I think, like you said, it does seem through history, these games come down to field goals a lot. And
missed field goals.
So we'll see.
Wide right?
Yep, wide right. So we'll see what happens with that. Now we're going to move to another game before we get into the NFL and then our own two picks. Washington, your alma mater, against Maryland at Maryland. Maryland has a great freshman.
This is my two picks.
No, your two are. Where are your two?
I thought Washington was going to be one of them.
It is one of them. All right. So this will be one of yours. Yeah. And what was your other one? Texas. Yeah. Okay. So that's you and you. So this is your pick.
Yeah. This is my pick.
Washington minus 6.5 at Maryland.
Yeah. I'm taking Washington minus 6.5. One of the top scoring teams in the country. Last week they played Ohio State. Offense was stagnant. Give all the credit in the world to Ohio State. Showed me who Ohio State was. Coming into Husky Stadium is always a tough task.
Yep.
And Husky showed up for the majority of that game. It was very close. They made some plays. They moved the ball, but ultimately they just didn't match up well against the size and the speed and the consistency of Ohio State and ended up winning that game. Washington's still a good football team. Mm-hmm. Maryland's, I believe, undefeated. Washington's 3-1, but I think the Huskies are going to redeem themselves this week and, take care of business. And I think they win, by 10 points.
Well, there you go. They're minus 6.5. You got the Huskies. I'll go to my college pick, and I've got Texas Tech versus Houston. Both teams undefeated, 4-0. Texas Tech's laying 11.5. I think Texas Tech is one of the top 7 or 8 best teams in the country. I really do. Every time
Texas Tech or A&M?
Texas Tech. I think A&M is better than them, but I think Texas Tech is really good. I think offensively they can score. Their defense is that normally with Texas Tech they score and they play no defense.
That's right.
This year they're scoring and they're playing some defense. So they're laying 11.5 at Houston. I haven't been sold.
You're not sold on Houston.
I'm not sold on Houston. I mean, Houston. They really played nobody. Tulsa gave them a great game.
Yeah, this is not the basketball team, Houston.
Not the basketball team, Houston. So I'm going Texas.
Something's happening down there in Texas and that South Houston.
No doubt.
With their basketball team and their football team now.
Yep. But I'm going to take Texas Tech and lay the 11.5 as one of my picks. And then let's go into the NFL for a second. And then we'll get to our other two picks. Minnesota minus 3.5 at Cleveland. I put this game on here because Minnesota's struggling. Cleveland has announced Dylan Gabriel, their third round pick or second round pick, whatever he was.
I'm going to go bet this as soon as we leave.
Rookie quarterback. Wentz is going to be starting again for Minnesota. Their offense didn't look good at all against Pittsburgh, and again, Pittsburgh's defense has found it. So I'm not. And
not only that, I mean, the game was in London. But go ahead.
Well, but Cleveland has one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Ireland. It was not London. It was in Ireland.
Cleveland's got a great defense. So I do think this is going to be a tight game. But the difference to me here is Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, feast on rookie quarterbacks, feast on them. And I think he's going to make this a very long day for Gabriel. I think Cleveland's defense will keep him in the game. 3.5 points. Again, the hook is getting me there. And Minnesota offensively they're banged up,
Justin Jefferson's all you need.
Yeah, but man, Cleveland's going to do a good job. I mean, I wish I could take the under in this game besides picking the side, but I'm going Cleveland. I do. I think Flores is going to make it a tough day for Gabriel, but I think Judkins is going to run the ball, and I think Cleveland's going to be able to figure out at least how to keep it close to the end. I think Cleveland's defense legit is one of the top 3 defenses in the league, and I think Carson Wentz looked very slow. I mean, Pittsburgh sacked him, 7 or 8 times, if I'm not mistaken. And Cleveland's defense is every bit as good as Pittsburgh's, if not better. So I'm going to go Cleveland.
I think there was too much Guinness being had by Minnesota in Ireland, and the reason why they didn't play very well. But, this is your pick, your individual pick.
No,
we're both
picking this one.
I'm taking Minnesota all day.
Okay.
I'm not a big believer in Cleveland. I do think their defense is very good.
Yep.
But if I'm Minnesota, we're going to create turnovers. Gabriel's going to hand us the ball 2 or 3 times.
I do think that's going to happen.
And we're going to stack the box. We're going to stop the run, and we're going to force Gabriel to throw the ball because you're not moving the ball unless you want to play a field position game. But ultimately, we have better weapons on offense, and you're not going to be able to stop us unless Wentz gives the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
Throw the ball short, run the ball against Cleveland, play action, those type of things. 21 points is enough to win the game. I think Minnesota wins 21-3.
Gotcha. Dallas against the Jets. Cowboys come in with injuries. CeeDee Lamb's out. Their guard, they're really good.
He was out last week too, by the way.
He was. But Turpin, who was
44 points.
Yep. And Turpin, who filled in, looks like he's not going to play either. So Dallas definitely are going to be dealing with some injuries. But you're right. They still seem to find a way to put up points. The Jets are limping in at 0-4. They just lost at Miami. They really have shown nothing on either side of the ball to make you think that they're going to be a good football team. Dallas, to me, is just going to be able to outscore them. And that's just your pick first. So
yeah, I agree with you. I used to say this when Smitty, I don't know if you remember when he jammed his finger and blew up, came through like a little 10-yard pass and dislocated it, and he was out for, I believe, a week or two or something like that. And I made the argument that this is a better team without Steve Smith. I didn't necessarily think that they were a more talented team, but they played better together because it forced Jake Delhomme to throw the ball to multiple players and made them more dangerous because it opened up the field. When you have a ball-dominant guy like Steve Smith, you're trying to give him the ball as many times as you can. And it kind of isolates those other players, and you're forcing the ball into positions you really shouldn't do it. You had a great player, and Steve Smith can make those plays. The same thing with the Dallas Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb. He's a ball-dominant guy. He is a guy that's going to command the ball. He's going to be in Dak Prescott's ear all day long. Him not playing opened up the offense last week, and I think that will continue against the Jets.
And Pickens is healthy, and Pickens is one of the better receivers out there. So I agree with you. I got Dallas -2.5, as do you. Now let's move to a game that I'm excited to watch in the NFL. Denver at Philadelphia. Philly's laying 3.5. Philly just does enough every game to win. They never panic. They've won games about every way you can win them this year. There's a lot of heat on their coach there about how the lack of offense and AJ Brown and all those things. But you know what? Jalen Hurts is exactly what we were talking about earlier when it comes to a leader, and the dude just knows how to win ball games. But Denver comes in with a great defense. They lead the NFL in sacks. They get after the quarterback. Bo Nix seemed to start getting it going last week after struggling the first couple weeks. Obviously, Sean Payton can coach, but Philly's a different ball game, and it's in Philly. Mm-hmm. And so Philly's laying 3.5. I go first on this one. Gosh, this is a tough one. I think I've got to go with Philly just because they're at home.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Have you ever been to Philly?
I have.
Have you watched a game there?
I have. I saw the Panthers beat them in the NFC Championship.
Did you come out unscathed?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. This is when I was running the radio station, and so we went and we took a bunch of fans. And
this was at the old.
No, it's where they play now.
Right now.
And so I had my dad with me and some buddies with me, and we take the bus from the hotel to the arena or to the stadium. And before we get off the bus, a security person from the Eagles comes into our bus to talk to us about where we're going, all these things. And he suggested that anybody wearing Panther stuff, take it off. Mm-hmm. And we're all thinking, look at this guy, man. He's like not wanting us to represent our team or whatever. And so somebody said something like that. And the security guy goes, look, you can wear it. I'm just telling you, if you do, just go ahead and expect you're going to get batteries thrown at you. They're going to spill a beer on you. So my dad, being my dad, was like, I ain't taking nothing off, and he kept his Panther stuff on. But they
came home wet.
We got lucky. we the seats they gave us were in the corner, and there was a wall behind us, so we were protected. But I tell you what, Panthers win that game. If you remember, that was Ricky Manning Jr. I think had 3 interceptions. Deshaun Foster had one of the great runs
at the goal line.
Yep. And we get on the bus, and now we're celebrating, ready to go back to the hotel. And Eagle fans leaving saw us on this bus, and I'm not kidding. They started shaking the bus and trying to get on the bus. I'm thinking we're getting ready to have to brawl. And I looked at the bus driver. I'm like, dude, get us out of here. Yeah. And so yeah, Philly's a tough place to play. I do think Denver's a really good football team, but I think Philly gets it done.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And I've heard the same things. If the old vet.
Yeah.
They used to have a jail underneath.
Yeah,
underneath.
I think they have one here too.
And it was for a reason, because a lot of people after the game would be probably going to that jail for the way they treated away fans. If you're Denver right now, they're a very proud fan base, probably one of the toughest places to play at Mile High, not just because of the conditions and the altitude, just because their fans are really, really good. There's not going to be a whole lot of orange in Philadelphia. And listen, Andy Reid is one of my favorite coaches of all time. Sean Payton is a hell of a coach too. You got two Hall of Famers going against each other.
Philly is Sirianni.
Oh, Sirianni. Sorry, Andy Reid's Kansas. He used to be there. Kansas City. I don't know what I'm thinking, but Andy Reid's still one of my favorite coaches of all time. But Sirianni has done a masterful job. Last couple of years. I know you didn't like him last year. You were very low on him. Getting, that was the one thing that you were hesitant, even though I tried to tell you they were the best team in the NFL. They're still the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
They're still the best offensive line. They're still very, very good on the defensive side. Cooper DeJean has really come up and started to make some plays. I like Philly in this one. I think it's going to be a close game. Denver gave up, 44 last week to Dallas? It was 44-44 overtime. Was that the game? That game?
They played. Who did Denver play last week? Was it?
I thought it was who played the Cowboys. It was 44-44.
Cowboys played Green Bay.
Oh, is that you're right? Green Bay.
Green Bay.
So, Denver's still. I mean,
they're good.
They're still a good team. I just think that. I think that Philadelphia is better.
All right, last game.
I'm taking that -3.5.
Yep, gotcha. Last game we'll talk about before we get to your last solo pick and my last solo pick. Hometown Carolina Panthers at home playing Miami. Miami's laying 1.5. We talked about this game earlier. Miami's coming in off of a win against the Jets and a solid effort at Buffalo. Panthers coming in after a complete debacle in New England, after getting our hopes up, after shutting out the Falcons 30-0, and the Falcons are a good football team. I don't really know what to expect. I am going to go because it is at home and because of the way we played at home, and even what you said earlier about Bryce wins at home more than he wins anywhere else, that's for sure. This is a game the Panthers have to win. Like I said earlier, I think it's a huge game for Bryce, a huge game for Canales. It does seem like they're getting a lot of their guys back, although I just saw that Wade, our nickel corner's out, which he's been playing great. But I'm going to take the Panthers straight up, baby.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
What happened to the DJ on Monday? I knew this. I predicted this from Monday. I predicted this would happen to everybody. I predicted.
Well, if we were playing a good
DJ
team,
was so upset on Monday that he was ready to fire everybody. And I said, by the time Friday rolls around, he'll have flipped the switch.
Well, but you know what?
Be completely Panthers.
If we were playing
hair on fire,
if we were playing a good team, there's no way I would have taken them. But we're playing a team that we should beat, like Miami. And if we were playing at Miami, I would not take Carolina. But we're playing home. This is a game they should win at home, in my opinion. And what we saw at home against the Falcons just gives me reason to believe that all those things that you've talked about, the differences of playing home on the road, I just think that if they don't win this game, then what are they going to win? And so to me, and I also think that Canales knows his seat's getting hot. You hear people talking about it all over TV. And I think that Bryce knows that it's time to step up. We'll see.
Tyreek Hill out for sure.
He's out. He's out for maybe a year.
Oh, what happened?
He tore his ACL, dislocated his knee.
I didn't see all that.
Yeah, it was bad.
When did that happen?
Against the Jets Monday night.
Oh gosh, I didn't hear that. I'm surprised I have not seen that.
Oh, don't watch the video. It's disgusting.
Oh my goodness.
It's disgusting.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, it's too bad for a really talented player.
Yeah.
But if they had him, it wouldn't even be close.
That's another thing. Exactly.
Waddle is going to have a career day. He will eat up our linebackers on play action pass. They'll be trying to stop the run with the Shane, and then they'll throw right behind him. Expect their tight end to have a big game as well. I expect a lot of boos, expect a lot of benching, and expect a lot of fire on those seats, because after this game, you're going to see a lot of change.
So you're taking the Miami
After
Dolphins.
This game, you're going to see a lot of change.
I can't blame. I'll tell you this much. If we get whooped on defense, I would agree with you that they fire the defense. And I predicted that a few weeks ago that he'd be the first to go because he's the one holdover from the previous coaching staff. So normally those are the first guys to go when a coach feels a need to make a change. All right, you got the Dolphins, I got Carolina. Let's go to our last solo picks and then we'll wrap it up. We'll go to you first. You've got Texas -5.5 at Florida.
Florida is a better team than people give them credit for, especially on the defensive side. They've lost a lot of close games. very close games, very hard fought games. They probably have the toughest schedule in America up to this point.
They have the number one toughest schedule in the country.
And they've been in every one of those games. This is the one they break through. They get their signature win for the season to kind of, this is the traditional SEC team. I know Texas is good on defense, and it's just going to come down to Manning. And I am not sold on Manning yet. I think he holds on to the ball too long. I think he's afraid to make throws down the field, and Florida's going to get after the quarterback. They're going to be able to match them and look for Manning to have probably a couple of interceptions and not be able to push the ball and play. It's going to be a low scoring game, a lot of punting.
Well, this is your solo pick, so I'm not picking it, but I will say this about the game.
I'm taking Florida plus the 5.5.
Yep. And if I was picking it, I agree with you. Because I will say this: we saw Texas play one good team this year. Now it was at Ohio State, the best team.
Yep.
And it was at Ohio State.
No, it was on a neutral side, I believe.
No, it was.
You're right. It was at Ohio State. You're right.
And we know that Ohio State's defense may be the best defense in the country. Florida's got a really good defense, and we've seen Manning struggle for the most part
against good
defenses, and even bad defenses. We've seen him struggle. Now he got right the last game and a half, so we'll see
against
bad teams. So
his numbers and statistics aren't bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he doesn't look all there against good quality teams or in the start of the game.
Well, Florida, their coach is on the hottest seat. Probably we talk about that. There's not a hotter seat than his. So he needs a win, and getting it against Texas will be a big one. So you got Florida there. My last pick, I'm going to go to the NFL. Tampa Bay goes to Seattle. Seattle's off to a great start. Seattle is
a great game.
One of the hardest places to play.
It's the loudest place to play.
Tampa Bay is a team that keeps every game close. Every game comes down to the end. Baker makes plays. Now, look, I know
this is the game you're picking for your side pick.
Tampa's getting 4.5, and I just think this is a field goal game regardless. And so I'm taking Tampa in that.
It's hard to disagree with what you're saying after watching the way that, even the odds makers hit it spot on when they knew that he was going to take them down the field. He's having he's regained a lot of confidence, very similar to when he was at Oklahoma, coming back and feeling like this is my team. We're going to take over. He's the type of player that, in the NFL level that we want our quarterback to be, with Bryce. Undersized guy, fiery, makes things happen, takes chances. He plays with his hair on fire, and he's a competitive SOB. You'd like to see Bryce do that a little bit more, but I agree. Baker's arguably becoming one of those spark plugs is going to show up in everybody's TV and on the cereal boxes, and the kids are going to love him because he's getting after it.
Listen, he's gone through a lot in his NFL career.
Great story,
and it is a great story. And he's just a guy that perseveres. And now he's always been a leader. He's always been a tough guy. Now he's put it all together. And Tampa's got a good defense. So I love Seattle's coach too, and I think Seattle's on a good path. Sam Darnold, obviously there for on a 1-year deal. But I think that'll be a good game. So
great game.
There's our picks for the weekend. Like I said, Frank and I are both now tied 29-22. So if we're in Vegas, we still probably would have lost a little juice. But we'll take the winning record and see what happens this weekend. Big D, thank you for everything today.
Probably have some big news on Monday when we come back about our new staff.
Well, I hope the Panthers surprise us. And I do, because listen,
why?
When they beat the Falcons, the feeling of euphoria that we had after that game, I didn't know what to do, because we don't feel that often. I didn't know if I should go celebrate even more. Should I go streaking down to the quad? And then when I watched the Patriot game, and it's just we score first, and you're going, all right, and then right down the crapper. Listen, when your own team wins, then it's always a good day. So we get them few and far between. This is a game they need to win. We'll see what happens.
5 times in 8 years, they won back-to-back games.
And this ain't gonna be. This would have to be the start of the back-to-back.
Start of one.
And they play the Jets next week in New York. So I guess if they win this one, that is a game that they could possibly win. Who the hell knows? Have a good weekend. Enjoy football. We'll see you Monday.